Hey Lucas, you did a nice job on this draft. It's a nice little story about your mom finding her dream home, and just about Brewster being her hometown. It's fun to read, and the writing is quite clean. Only a few little grammatical errors. I'm going to go through several different things as I make suggestions for revision. I code these with the highlights that I show you here at the top. Green for sentences that are just especially good, yellow for little technical grammar errors, blue for these conjunctions you don't need, and then the gray highlights are places just where you can say things better and reduce clutter. I say here, one key question to answer: why was this your mom's dream home? You show why it's nice. You're describing what is obviously a very nice house to live in, but you don't really give the payoff about why it appealed so much to her. That's a question you can easily ask her. Probably lots of other nice homes in the neighborhood where she grew up. Just say, why this house in particular? She's the star of this story, so give her kind of put her front and center in terms of why she wanted that house so much. Okay, let me show you a couple things that you're doing especially well here. Just 2 houses down, there was a beautiful red brick house with 2 big oak trees in the front yard. Not only is that a nice, straightforward description, but it sets the reader up to appreciate what this story is about, which is the seeking and getting of this beautiful home. So it's just a nice kind of introduction to the description you're going to be giving. Also, I want to point something out here. My mom wasn't done moving yet, though. Even though we were already 5 houses away from my grandma, she wanted to move even closer. She wanted to move into her dream house. Sooner or later, she'd get her chance. I just want to point out here that something that we talked about earlier in the term, which is to vary the length of sentences in a paragraph. That is what makes a paragraph flow really well, and this paragraph does that. There's a short sentence, then there's a fairly long one, then there are 2 short ones. It's a good combination. This paragraph too is nicely written. On the outside, the house's features are striking. The white pillars are aesthetically pleasing against the red brick, and the front door is a beautiful brownish red. You can just feel that description kind of flowing well. I want to point out this thing near the end, the sentence near the end. The best addition, though, came after we moved back our fence. I like that 1-sentence paragraph. You are setting up a little impetus for the reader to keep reading. You say the best addition came after we moved back our fence. Well, that raises a question that the reader really wants to know the answer to, right? Well, what was the best addition? And then, of course, you explain that about the Mermaid Lounge. So it's a nice way to set it up. And also, I like the conclusion of the story, bringing it back to your mom. It wraps things up very nicely. Okay, let's go back, look over some small grammar errors, and these are really quite minimal. In this paragraph, for the first 9 years of their marriage, they lived on the other side of town from my mom's childhood home, comma, with my 3 siblings and I. I should have marked that too. So that should be me, not I. My 3 siblings and me. You wouldn't say they lived on the other side of town from my mom's child home with, if you took out my siblings, and if you just said with I, that you'd never say that, right? I is the thing that you that is the subject when you were talking about the first person. Me is the object, so you want to use me there. Also, you don't need a comma here. She lived on the other side. They lived on the other side of town from my mom's childhood home with my 3 siblings and me. You don't need that comma. There's no pause there. So I'm going to put it back in and just mark it for you to look at. Okay, we're going to keep going on the yellow highlights. After entering through the front door, there's an entryway. This first phrase is one of those things we call a dangling modifier. This phrase should modify a person who is doing the action of the verb, entering through. But look what follows. After entering through the front door, there's an entryway. Okay, so the subject becomes entryway. The subject of this sentence is an entryway with a chandelier in the middle. But an entryway can't enter through the front door. Dangling modifiers are illogical. So what you would want to say is something like either just inside the front door, comma, there's an entryway. Or maybe, you probably wouldn't want to do this, but you could. After one enters through the front door, there's an entryway with a chandelier. That would be grammatical too. Same problem here. Going back to the entryway, there's a staircase. The staircase is not going back to the entryway, but staircase is the subject of the sentence. So fix that in the same way. Okay, down here, well, why did I mark this? We've made a lot of renovations over the years, including new flooring in almost all the rooms, new sinks in the bathrooms, new furniture, and even taking out the wall between the kitchen and dining room. There's a little problem with parallel construction here. We've made a lot of renovations. Okay. Renovations is a noun. And the plural noun suggests you're going to list those renovations with a series of other nouns. That's how you start out. Flooring, that's a noun. Sinks, that's a noun. New furniture, that's a noun. But look what you have here. It's a verb phrase, taking out the wall. So it's not good construction, let's put it that way. So I would do something like this. I think what I would do is just break that off into a new sentence. I'm going to make this italic so you'll see that it's this change I've made, including new flooring in almost all the rooms, new sinks in the bathrooms, new furniture. So, and new furniture. Then we even took out the wall. I think you'll see, if you revise that paragraph, you'll see that that's a cleaner, smoother way of saying what you're saying there. Okay, down here, when we bought the house, the background had an in-ground pool that's about 9 feet deep. Okay, there's a verb agreement problem here. The background, this is way back when you bought the house. The background had, past tense, an in-ground pool. That is about 9 feet deep. Past tense, present tense. It's not that is, it's that was about 9 feet deep. Down here, the best addition, though, came after we moved back our fence. Now, I told you I like this sentence, but there's one thing about it I don't like. I don't know about you, I think this sounds better. We moved our fence back. I don't think in conversation we'd say we moved back. I guess you might. We moved back our fence. I don't know. This sounds more natural to me. We moved our fence back. One little thing here, mermaid themed. When you put together two words that together form an adjective, you want to put a hyphen between them. Mermaid themed. I'm just going to mark that with these slashes so you remember to make that change in your final. Okay, good. All right, let's go back to the gray highlights, things where you can say things a little bit better. But again, I want to emphasize, quite impressed by your first draft writing here. You're doing a nice job with expressing yourself. So these are pretty minimal. Now let's just look at this. My mom had been eyeing the house for much longer. There's a little logic problem here. because in the preceding sentence, well, let's look at the paragraph. The house has 2 stories and a basement, and we have lived in it for 7.5 years. We moved into the house after living 3 houses down the street for as long as I can remember. However, my mom had been eyeing the house for much longer. That sentence, eyeing the house for much longer, seems to refer back to, logically, it refers back to the immediately preceding sentence. Moved into the house after living 3 years, living 3 houses down the street for as long as I can remember. Okay. But your mom hadn't been eyeing the house for much longer than what you can remember. Well, I guess that is what you're saying. I was thinking that it really refers back to 7.5 years. No, I think now I see that you're saying exactly what you want to, because now I know she had been eyeing it since she was a kid. So I'm going to take out that objection. All right, next. This is a small thing. My dad, though, was not from Ohio, but from Montana. When you introduce a word like but or though, there's a mood to that which is like, this is kind of surprising. This is not what you would expect. But in fact, there's nothing surprising or unexpected about the fact that your dad is not from Ohio. So I would remove that word though. I'm just going to mark it with slashes. See how if you just say, my dad was not from Ohio, but from Montana. All right, that's just a straightforward statement about where he's from in contrast to your mom. I hope you'll get the sense of that. Okay. Next one. For the first 9 years of their marriage, they lived on the other side of town from my mom's childhood home with my 3 siblings and me. However, when I was 6, they moved back to the same street. Again, my problem is with that word however, which is kind of like but or though. There's nothing surprising. There's nothing contrary to expectation about the fact that they moved back. It's a simple statement. You don't need that however. Okay. Minor thing here. We had just come back from vacation when my mom found out the house was up for sale. Within 2 months, we were already living in it. I would take out already. That's an unnecessary word. It means exactly the same thing without it. And it's a little punchier. Okay. Down this paragraph. In the years since, we've added a cabana and chairs to sit by the pool as well as a hot tub. In addition to that, we extended the fence to the edge of the property line, giving us more room in our backyard. Oh, yeah. Okay. In addition to that, nothing ungrammatical about it, but I think it's quicker if you just say, we also extended the fence to the edge of the property line, giving us more room. You don't need that phrase in our backyard. We know you're talking about the backyard. So that's a clutter phrase that you can get rid of. And I believe that is it. One more thing. Sometimes we're inclined to use the word and, sort of tacking a new sentence on to a preceding sentence, when it really would stand better by itself. I think this is the only example of this in the whole piece. It's right in that first paragraph. The house has 2 stories and a basement, and we have lived in it for 7.5 years. Grammatically, there's nothing wrong with that. But think about it. If the standard rule is 1 idea per sentence, those 2 ideas, the house has 2 stories and a basement, and we have lived in it for 7.5 years, those don't really have anything to do with each other. They're about, they do, obviously. They're both statements about your house and your family. But they really belong in separate sentences. So I would chop that up and make it 2 sentences. Okay, I think that's it. I think I've run on too long. I'm going to have to try and cut this video in 2 and send you both halves. So good job, and look forward to your revision.